Hey guys, so I'm back and you guys have been waiting for this video for a long time. A lot of people have been asking for a request in this video, and I, being true to myself, had to test out the products, really put them to the test, wear them. I did swatches, comparisons, like I did the whole shebang for you guys in this video, as I did with my previous Kat Von D liquid lipsticks video. I had to do the whole bit with this one as well. So I'm going to go into swatches again, lip swatches, swatches on my arm. I'm gonna do comparison swatches again with colors that you might be familiar with, colors that these shades are similar to. I'll also show you some lip pencils that would go well with these lipsticks, just because I think people are interested in that kind of stuff. They want to know what lip pencils might go well with the different lip shades. So let's just jump right into it. So as usual, the first thing I like to talk about is the price of the product itself, and these are $20 for 0.11 ounce of product. And when I heard the price initially, I was like, oh, okay, these sync up well with other brands that are in a similar position in the market. And of course, the easiest comparison is to the Everlasting liquid lipsticks from Kat Von D, which debuted last year and they really took the market by storm. And these are also $20, but the difference is the size. These are 0.22 ounce of product, which you wouldn't really estimate that because the tubes from Anastasia look a little bit thicker and these are thinner, even though they're a little bit longer. But according to the size description, the Kat Von D liquid lipsticks actually have twice the amount of product in the Anastasia Beverly Hills product, which threw me off a bit, but yeah. And also, if you put these up against like the new age kind of cult classics, those indie brands that are coming out with different liquid lipsticks, because liquid lipsticks are like taking the market over. They're like a big thing right now. They're all the rage. They're totally in. They're so fetch. Now they have Dose of Colors liquid lipsticks. They have Coloring liquid lipsticks. They have Jeffree Star color lipsticks. They have Lime Crime Velveteens. Those are all priced around $18 to $20, maybe even a couple of bucks more. And I think Anastasia is at that level in the market that they can price their products at $20 and it would be totally reasonable for what you're getting. The only thing that threw me off a bit was the quantity that you do get in the tubes. At 0.11 ounce, it just seems a little bit low to me for these kinds of products, especially with the Kat Von D coming in at twice the size of these. And then I went back and checked out my Kissable Lip colors from MAC, and they're 0.17 ounces. And these I would think would be around the same size, so these are a little bit smaller. You're getting less product, so just be mindful of that if you are interested in checking these out. You're not getting as much product as you would think that you're getting. And then next up, of course, I'm going to talk about the packaging of the products, just how durable these are, how functional they are, how user-friendly they are, and also how it works as far as the type of product, because these are liquid lipsticks. So here you have the overall packaging of the Anastasia liquid lipsticks. As you can see, these are hard plastic see-through tubes, and you can actually see the product in the tube, so you can pick out the color from your collection quite simply, quite easily without opening the packaging. And you can also see the level of the product in the tube as you use it up. On the actual clear tube, you see the Anastasia Beverly Hills logo, and then you have a rose gold detail at the very top of the clear tube, and the cap itself is just a silver cap. The cap is a screw top with a doe foot applicator, the typical doe foot applicator of many liquid lipsticks or lip gloss type products. Now, the one thing I have a complaint about is the actual seal of the tube. As you work this back and forth, as you use it, it kind of gets built up, the product leaks out, and they have like a faulty seal right here, so the product can get quite messy, and I'll show you one that got really messy on me. And here I'm showing you what I mean. The color just kind of overflowed and made a huge mess, so be careful with the packaging. It can get quite messy, and then it doesn't quite seal tight, so be careful of this. This is a flaw in the package and I think they can improve on. Maybe if the opening was a little bit smaller, we wouldn't have this problem, but that's something they can definitely improve on. I should mention also that the actual doe foot applicator in these tubes is actually great for the type of product because these are liquid lipsticks. You have that stiff doe foot applicator that allows you to apply it precisely without too much overflow. Usually when you have like a flexible wand, it gets a little bit messy, so I do think the doe foot applicator works well for this type of product. But if you're going for more precision because it is a liquid product, you might want to go ahead and grab a lip brush to just give you nice, sharp, precise lines. So now let's just jump into some swatches. And first I'm going to start out with the swatches on my arm so you can see the colors lined up together, see them matched against each other, see the color differences. And I should mention that I grabbed 11 of these shades. There are 20 in all, with 19 currently in production and currently available. Although some are out of stock right now, but not to worry, these are being restocked and they'll also be available in Macy's stores with the impulse section. So if you have an impulse section in your Macy's, definitely watch out for these. These are going to debut in stores in March, so just check back, check the Anastasia website, check Macy's to find out where you can grab these. I should also mention that I did not grab Pure Hollywood, which is the shade that everybody seems to be crazy about. I personally don't think that those lighter shades, so Milkshake and Pure Hollywood, would be suitable for my deeper skin tone. Like I have a deeper tan skin tone. I don't think those would be suitable at all just because they're a little bit too stark and harsh, and I just didn't want to go there. So my lightest shade that I picked up was Lovely, which looks really light in the tube, but it actually applies a little bit deeper on my lips, and you will see that as we go into the lip swatches. So let's just jump into the swatches right now instead of having me rambling. This is the shade Lovely. Here we have the shade Sweet Talker. This is Electric Coral. This is Party Pink. This is Spicy. Here we have Vintage. This is the shade Bloodline. Here we have Potion. This is Sad Girl. This shade is Heathers. And this shade is Vamp. Here I have all 11 of the shades that I personally have swatched on my arm, so you can see the shade comparisons, you can see all the colors together to determine which ones look like ones that you might want to try or which ones look a little bit too similar to each other. So I'll zoom in so you can see the colors up close. This one is Lovely, which is a mid-tone creamy pink. Next we have Sweet Talker, which is described as a watermelon pink. Here we have Party Pink, which is described as a vivid blue pink. This one is Electric Coral, described as an intense coral shade. Here we have Spicy, which is a red orange. This is Bloodline, which is described as a crimson or a blue toned red. Here we have Heathers. This is described as a deep brick red. This one is Vamp, which is a deep brown red. And if you see Heathers and Vamp together, you can see that Vamp is definitely more of a brown, a reddened brown, versus Heathers, which is more of a deep, rich maroon red. This shade here is Vintage, which is described as a pure purple shade. Here we have Sad Girl, which is described as a deep burgundy with purple iridescence. As you can see, this is the only non-matte one. This one, I don't think it's really purple shimmer. It's more of like cranberry shimmer throughout it. And then it has a burgundy base. And then last up we have Potion, which is a deep dark purple, which is the darkest color out of the entire collection. So now that you know what each color is, I'll just zoom out again so you can see the colors for reference from a distance so you can compare them up against each other. So I wanted to show you something about how these set. I've had these on my arm swatched for about 20 to 30 minutes now. I've been trying to have them dry down so you can see the actual finish of them. And I zoomed in so you can kind of see the finish. They are definitely a matte finish, but some of them take a little bit longer to dry down, so make sure you have thin, even layers so they can dry evenly. As you can see, I have a little bit of damp spots where the formula may have been a little bit thicker, and you'll see Sad Girl is that one with the shimmer in it. And I wanted to show you that the formula, even though these are pretty much set, the formula still smudges, as you can see. And this is after a half an hour. It still moves around and smudges. And I'm just pulling my finger across them so you can see they move. And I'm gonna zoom in again so you can see how they move. I wanted to show you specifically this orangey shade where you see it kind of balls up. So you see that kind of balling up and flaking off. It does something similar to that on the lips if it's not layered just right or it doesn't dry down properly. And then I'm going to show you how they remove with a makeup wipe. This is just a MAC makeup wipe. And they remove pretty easily with a makeup wipe, especially on the lips. I didn't have too much of a problem removing them while I was swatching them for you guys. And they don't leave too much of a stain behind, which may be helpful for some of you, but that of course lessens the wear because the staining effect is a sign of longer wear. So you'll see I do have minimal staining, but it's not a strong stain after having them on my arm for so long. So now that you've seen the swatches on my arm, we're going to jump into some lip swatches. And the first shade up is Lovely, which is the lightest shade I picked up. And this is kind of a muted, dusty pink shade. It is definitely a lighter pastel-y shade. It has a very milky look to it. So I needed to apply this in layers. And the thing about applying these, you have to layer it, let it dry a little bit, then layer it again so that you don't get patchy areas. And it does give a nice look on my lips. It is a nice nudie lip, but I do feel like the lighter shades do settle into the lines of my lips, and I do have very textured lips, so you're definitely going to see up close, you're going to see the lines in my lips. And when it settles into the lips, it leaves this textured, powdery appearance. And the wear time actually diminishes because of that. I don't know why, but it smudges a little bit easier. It's faster to like wear off the lips, and it fades off the lips in this powdery fashion. It kind of balls up off the lips. So it's a pretty color, but it's a high maintenance color. Like you would need to reapply and reapply this throughout the day because it does wear off pretty quickly. Next we have the shade Party Pink, which is a bright blue-based pink. Again, it comes off a little bit deeper on my lips, even though it looks really bright in the tube. This is still a very bright color. It's still a lighter color too on my skin tone, and I feel like it does need the layering. It still needs 2 to 3 layers to get full opacity, but it does still fade off the lips in kind of that textured powdery way, and it does settle into the lines of my lips just because it is one of those lighter, more neon colors. Then we have Sweet Talker, which is a pinky, I want to say it's like a watermelon pink. It's a pinky corally shade. It's a neon pink, but it does have a touch of coral to it. This is a beautiful shade. Again, it's a lighter neon shade, so it does get troublesome with layering for opacity, and you do have to kind of baby it a bit because it will fade off throughout the day and leave texture on your lips. But this one is a definite beautiful color. If you're going for one of the neon shades, I think this one is better for darker skin than say Party Pink or like the lighter electric colors, just because it's a little bit more forgiving. Now we have Electric Coral, which is this bright corally red shade. It is not really a true coral on me. It is more of a reddish orange coral, and it's really pretty. Again, I think this one is one of those bright colors, but it still needs some layering to get full opacity. You don't get opacity in one pass, and it does take some babying, but it's a muted neon color, if that makes sense. It's like an in-your-face color, but it's still muted, so it's still wearable, workable. And this one, along with Sweet Talker, I'd probably go with Electric Coral just because it is better for deeper skin, because the Sweet Talker can come off a little bit too neon. So that color is still a very pretty color. We're getting better wear time from these. They wear better on the lips just because we're getting into the deeper shades. Now we have the shade Spicy, which is a bright reddish orange shade. And this one, I love this shade because it is a wearable orange shade. If you like orange lips and orange lipsticks look great on you, like my skin tone, my caramelly skin tone actually looks really good in orange shades. But oranges can be a little bit too bright, a little bit too bold. I find that this is a nice wearable muted orange shade, and I actually quite like this one. Again, we're getting better wear time from these because they're deeper shades and they don't accentuate the lines in my lips as much as like the neon lighter shades. So this one I think is a great color to try out. If you're into oranges, you like oranges, you wanted to try an orange, but you were kind of afraid, this one is definitely a good one. It's definitely better, a better color than a Go-Go from Kat Von D. Kat Von D has a better formula, but it's still a very pretty color here. Now we're gonna grab Vintage, which is a purple fuchsia shade. I wouldn't call it a true pure purple shade because it has a lot of pink and red to it. It's more of a violet shade on my skin tone. It's a beautiful color. It looks very similar to Kat Von D LUV. I think LUV has a much better formula. It's a prettier color. It's more blue toned than this one. This one is definitely more of a berry tone. So if you're into more berry looks and you thought the LUV from Kat Von D was a little bit too blue tone for you, this might be a good one to try out. Wear time is decent. It's, again, these are not long wearing anymore just based on the formula, and we get into the performance in a little bit, but these Kat Von D ones are definitely longer lasting. But if you don't mind wearing these and touching up throughout the day, then I think this is a very pretty color. And again, it's Vintage. I thought it was going to be more popular than it ended up being, but it's a bright berry purple shade. Now we'll go into the red that I picked up. I picked up Bloodline. There is another red called American Doll, and I think that one is a brighter red for lighter skin tones. This one I would pick up if you are a deeper skin tone and you were going for a red color from the lineup. Personally, I don't think this is the best red liquid lipstick you could pick up. There are a lot of options on the market, so I'd probably skip over like colors that you can get from other brands that have better performing formulas. It's a pretty color. It's a nice rich crimson red. It's not truly a blue red, but it has a little bit of an orangey undertone. I think it's a pretty red. It layers really well. It's almost opaque in one layer. You don't have to really build up too much, and it doesn't settle into the line. So I think this is a pretty color. I just think there are better formulas on the market. Now we can get into one of the colors that I truly love. This is Vamp. This is a reddish brick brown shade, I would say. It's a nice 90s brown. Now people are talking about 90s nude. This is a 90s brown shade, and I think this is so beautiful. This was, I saw someone in the 90s, older woman, wear this, and I was just so obsessed with finding the color that looked like this, and I finally found it years later, decades later. But it's such a beautiful brown shade. I've worn this in a couple of videos. I've worn this a lot because I truly love the shade. It is a nice cocoa color. It's beautiful. It wears decent, actually. It wears a decent amount of time. It wears about 5 hours without having to touch up. You do still have to nurse it, I mean, if you're going to wear it for longer, but it's such a beautiful color. Now we have Heathers. Heathers is a red toned color. It has a lot of brown to it. This was meant to be more of a deeper, rich brown, like a brick red, but it didn't quite come off quite that way on my lips. It came out more like a deep red with brown to it. It's a lot more brown than red on me, and it looks very similar to Vamp. They look very similar to each other. On my arm, they swatch very different. You can see the brown undertones in Vamp versus the red undertones in Heathers. But once they're on my lips, it's almost hard to differentiate the different colors. This is a little bit redder, but it still has a lot of brown to it. So if you're looking for, you were thinking you were getting a deep vampy red, this is not it on my skin tone. It may look differently on you, but to me this is more of a dark brown red. And it's a very nice color, rich pigmentation, layers in one layer, full pigmentation, and it has a little bit more longevity, a little bit more wear time on this one because it is a deeper shade and it doesn't settle into the lines. Next up we have Sad Girl, which is the only non-matte shade in the lineup. This one is kind of a cranberry shade with cranberry sheen to it. It's a pretty color. It's different. It wears a little different than the others because of the different formula, and it is a very pretty shade. I just don't find it to be that extremely pretty or different, but it's a nice shade if you want to try it out. The wear time is a little bit different because of the formula. Like I said, it wears down a little bit different, and it does come off a little bit different too because of the glitter, so you're gonna get glitter specks and stuff. So this one definitely takes a little bit more work to keep it looking fresh and nice. So I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of this one. And then last up, I always end with the darkest shade, and this one is Potion. This is such a rich, deep, true purple shade. I really love this. Is such a deep grape color. I love this color. This one is very unique. I think if you're gonna grab anyone from the lineup, if you're like me and you have my taste, I would grab Vamp and Potion. Potion is just so unique. It's a deep, deep, dark purple, but it doesn't go so vampy dark that you can't see the purple in it. The purple is still very existent. It shows up strongly, the undertone. And I think this one is so pretty. It's good for a deep vampy look, but still with something different because it is purple. And this one has great wear time because of the deeper shade, and it looks really good on the lips without settling into lines, and it applies really beautifully in one go, one layer. I think this one is definitely one that I would recommend. So people are always curious about how I apply and remove these during swatch videos, and I'm just going to show you how I remove it. I just remove it with a MAC makeup remover wipe. It wipes off pretty well. There's minimal staining of these colors, and then I go over it with my foundation brush. Doesn't have foundation on it necessarily, but it still has some remnants, and I just buff over my lips just to even out the area again and apply foundation where I might have wiped it off. And that's all I did to apply these. These did not dry out my lips too much. They weren't such a pain to apply and reapply. So if you're wondering about that, that's how I apply and reapply these lipsticks throughout the video. Overall, I think the formula is inconsistent, so it's hard to just go, oh, the formula is completely bad or the formula is completely good, because it differs by shade. And I don't have all the shades in the lineup. I only have 11 of the colors, and I didn't go for the really light shades. From the colors that I have, the deeper shades definitely perform a lot better. They apply better to the lips, they sit better on the lips, they don't settle into lines, they have greater opacity, you don't have to keep layering them, and they wear a little longer. Now as far as wear time, which I know a lot of people are like, what about the wear time? These are not long-lasting lipsticks, as the claims are from the Anastasia Beverly Hills website, and I'll just quickly tell you what the website says. It says full coverage, intense pigment, and a matte finish in an easy-to-apply liquid formula. One sweep delivers vibrant long-wearing color that sets all day. Formula is ultra pigmented. Swirl wand around in a tube to evenly mix color before application. I do admit that is a great tip, to swirl the wand around in the tube before you apply these, because what I found is that the formula kind of separates, so you do want to do that before you apply the color so you don't get any blotchiness. But it doesn't set down completely, and it takes about a couple of hours to actually set down fully, where you can get the full matte finish. The Kat Von D ones set like this, they're really quick, they don't wipe off or anything, you can't really smudge them. These wipe off easily with your finger. If you touch your lips with your finger, it's gonna come off. Worse, if you apply like chapstick over it for moisture, it's gonna wipe off. If you eat anything, it's gonna come off. If you even talk, as you're talking, it's gonna wear away, because the moisture in your mouth is kind of gonna, cause the product to kind of get moist and just wear away over time. And that's what I found with these. With the Kat Von D ones and any long wearing liquid lipsticks that I have tried, which I haven't tried too many, the Kat Von D ones just take the cake. These wear away easily, even though they state that they're long wear. I think you're gonna get maybe 4 to 5 hours of decent wear out of these without them really looking blotchy. But I will say they don't wear off in a very ugly way. You know, some lipsticks wear off and they look really bad. These actually don't wear away that terribly, so you can reapply another layer and, you know, get more pigmentation and more coverage and build up the coverage where you might have had some wear away, and it doesn't look bad. So they wear away, but you can reapply without too many issues. The thing is, they're not long wearing, and it claims that in the product description. So if you're looking for long wearing and you're expecting long wear, no. These are not long wearing at all. If you eat, they're gonna wear away. Obviously, this happens with any lip color. If you eat, you drink, some of the moisture and the oils in the food will wear away some of the lip color. But for these, I find they wear away so easily, like a regular lipstick would, that I don't find that necessarily they have that long wear associated with liquid matte lipsticks. So wear time is definitely a no for these. They wear the same way as a matte tube lipstick would. As far as the colors, I think the range is nice. They have nice colors in here. I think the coral shades are the most unique. The other shades aren't really that unique, and we are going to jump into comparison so you can see colors swatched against different colors that you may be, accustomed to, like you know what that color looks like. So I'm going to swatch those colors on my arm so you can see the comparison. And I think there's some crossover shades in the Kat Von D lineup. I think the Kat Von D formula is much better for long wear. They look better, they feel better on the lips. They just do much better. So if you have a crossover shade, I would go with the Kat Von D formula versus these. But I think that there are a couple of shades in here that are unique enough to grab, the Vamp and the Potion being my top picks. The other shades, there's so many available on the market that you don't necessarily have to grab these. The coral shades, I think you might want to grab one of those as well, so I'd go for one of the coral shades. But the other shades, they're not special enough for you to necessarily have to grab them from this brand or from this lineup. I mean, overall, I don't think that they're a bad formula. It just doesn't live up to what they're described as, long wearing. I think they are pretty colors. I think it's a comfortable formula. It isn't drying. It doesn't like dry out your lips, and it does apply nicely. It's a little bit more liquidy than the Kat Von D, which has a creamier formula. So these are a little bit more liquidy, so when you're layering them, you're gonna have a little bit more issue, and they take a little bit longer to dry down. But they wear decently, not longer than any regular traditional tube lipstick would. So if you're okay with wearing a tube lipstick and you're not looking for long wear as these claim, then these might be nice options for you. They might not be that big a deal for you to reapply as you would a typical lipstick. But if you're looking for long wear and that's what you're going for, go for another brand, another line. Kat Von D has great long wear and lipsticks in her lineup. There are even cheaper alternatives now on the market from LA Girl that actually do better than these. So if you want long wear, these are not it. If you want a decent liquid lipstick with nice colors, I wouldn't say pass these up. There are definitely a few colors that I would pick up and I do adore in this lineup. The formula just isn't the best, like the best. But it's still a nice enough formula. It would get a B- in my book because it's not going to get an A because it's not long wearing, but it's not a terrible formula. I don't think it's awful. I don't think, oh my god, what the hell is this? It's not a complete waste of money because there are some nice colors. It wears like a regular lipstick that you would pay $20 for. So I'm so with it. It's not bad. I'm glad I have them. I wouldn't pass them up, but I wouldn't rush out and get like the whole gamut of the colors. Just pick a couple of colors and try them out. And since these are lip products, I should probably mention the smell and the taste of these. These have a very interesting smell. There's no like sweet vanilla fragrance or any berry fragrance. It's a different, it smells sweet, but it just smells like the formula. I would expect the formula of these lipsticks to smell like. There's no special sweet fragrance to these, and it's not very intense. So if you're sensitive to scents, it's not a strong scent. I should also mention that even though there's no real peppermint oil to this, there's no plumping effect, these do have kind of a stinging, burning effect on my lips. Very slight, very faint, but I do feel it because it's different from anything else I've ever felt on my lips from a lipstick. It still has this kind of tightening, slight burn, very slight burn. It wears off over time, but I thought I should mention that because, you know, no one else has really mentioned that. There's a little bit of a little burn to it. I should also mention that there's no real taste to these, so as they wear off, you're not going to really taste a flavor or anything. It tastes like lip product. I wouldn't go ahead and lick them because they're not pleasant, but they're not unpleasant at the same time. So if you get a little in your mouth, it's not that bad. It's not the end of the world, but I wouldn't go ahead and lick these because they're not nicely flavored at all. And I'm gonna mention it even though no one else really has, and this is just because I've experienced some of her cream products. The shelf life of these is not gonna be as long as other products on the market because it's already smelling like it's going to turn, and if it goes bad, you don't really want to put this on your lips because the smell is gonna go off really quickly. So just be mindful of that. Don't like hoard these up because they don't last that long. I'm gonna give it 6 months to a year before these start to go bad and start smelling a little bit too plasticky and too chemically. So just keep that in mind. That is something that I noticed just by smelling these and having other products in my collection that have a little bit of that off scent to these. So Just a little tidbit. I don't know how long they're gonna last, but I don't give them more than a year. So now I'm going to go into the comparison swatches, which will help you to determine which colors you want to try out, if any at all, and you'll see if they look similar to things in your lineup or colors from brands that you might prefer for a little bit cheaper in a traditional tube type lipstick. Alright, so let's do some quick comparisons so you can see the shades up against other shades that you may be familiar with. This is the shade Lovely from Anastasia, which is the lightest shade that I have. Again, it's just a mid-tone creamy pink. People are probably curious as to how nude it is. I have swatched Too Faced Melted Nude next to this, and you can see this is definitely not a nude, it's definitely a creamy pink shade. And I've also swatched it next to the Kat Von D Lolita shade, which a lot of people thought that it would be close to. It is not. Lolita is a deep, rich brown shade. It's a great deep nude for darker skin tones. That one doesn't even come close. Then I swatched the shade Sweet Talker, which is that watermelon color. This one is a bright watermelon pink. It's a really pretty color. And then I swatched that next to Jeffrey from Kat Von D. As you can see, the Kat Von D one is definitely more of a corally tone. It's not so much a bright watermelon pink as the shade here. And then I also swatched two MAC shades. This one is Party Parrot. It's one of their matte lipsticks. This one comes pretty close, but as you can see, Sweet Talker is a lot brighter pink. And then I also swatched Impassion, which is another one of those MAC lipsticks. This one is a amplified finish, but it's a lot pinker and it comes a little bit closer to that Sweet Talker shade. But those are the shades compared to a couple. I wasn't looking for dupes, I was just showing you shade comparisons so you can see how these match up against similar shades that you might have an idea of in your mind. Now how about that Party Pink shade, which is that bright vivid pink? It's a blue based pink, so a lot of people are going to wonder if it looks similar to other shades that are out there in the market. I swatched the Kat Von D Backstage Bambi next to that, and you'll see that Party Pink is definitely a lighter pink than Backstage Barbie. It's interesting because Backstage Barbie on me is so vivid, so in your face, so of course the Party Pink is also going to be that bright pink shade. So Backstage Barbie is definitely deeper. Then I swatched Too Faced Melted Fuchsia, which is a much deeper, much richer fuchsia shade versus that kind of bright neon pink shade of the other two. And then of course people are going to wonder about MAC's Candy Yum Yum, which actually looks pretty similar if you look at them, and depending on your skin tone and your lip shade, these might not look that much different from each other. So I think Candy Yum Yum is almost a dead-on duplicate of this Party Pink shade. Now how about that Electric Coral shade, which is that bright poppy coral shade with a touch of red undertone. If you can see, it has a kind of reddish undertone to it. That one was a little bit harder. I didn't really find anything that was really too similar. I swatched Melted Coral from Too Faced next to it. Not even close. That one is definitely true coral. This one has a nice strong red pull to it. Then I said, you know what it might really look like is Scarlet Ibis from MAC, which is one of those matte shades that they came out with, and it comes almost close, but Electric Coral is that brighter, more bright punch of color, but this one is almost that color. And then I also swatched Mirage, which is not even close at all. That is definitely an orange versus that reddish coral shade. So that will give you an idea of what the color looks like. Now since we're doing orange and corals, I pulled out Spicy, which is that red orange shade right here. Really beautiful orange shade. It's a subtle orange. It's not bright in your face orange. And I swatched the Kat Von D Agogo next to that, which is a bright, like in your face neon orange. Again, this is more yellow tone. This one is a much subtler orange. And then I said, you know what that really looks like to me? That looks like the Urban Decay lipstick in the shade Bang. And it's almost, not quite, but it's really close, and on my skin tone it wouldn't look different, but it looks so much like Bang from Urban Decay. And then of course I swatched Morange again so you could see the different orange tones. So I think Bang comes pretty darn close, so if you have Bang you probably don't need, or even if you love Bang you might want to try out the Anastasia one. So those are the orangey shades. Now we're moving on to the exciting purple shades, and we have the vintage shade, which is described as a pure purple. And to me, it's not truly a pure purple, it's more of a violet shade. And first up, I know what you're going to compare it to is LUV from Kat Von D. This is LUV, and LUV is more of a light purple. It comes close, but this one is more of a berry purple versus this one, which is kind of a bright violet purple. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. This one has more of a berry undertone. Then I said, let me swatch the Too Faced Melted Violet. Not even close. This one is almost pastel lavender next to those two shades. And then of course I'm going to grab my lovely Violetta shade. And Violetta doesn't even come really that close, and the finish is completely off. So there's more blue base to Violetta, but Violet is still a beautiful purple shade. Then of course, you know, the next bet was to go with Heroine. Heroine is much more blue based, and you can see it when you compare them. It's much more blue based than this berry tone right here. Then I said to myself, what about Pure Heroine, which is this shade right here, which was more of a berry tone. This one is not quite the same shade. It's similar, but it's deeper and it's more of a glossy finish. This one is definitely deeper. And then I said, oh, let me just try out Gunner, which just came out with the Nasty Gal collection. This one is a rich blue-based purple, not even close. So those are the shades. You can see that Vintage is more of a berry purple. It's not really a true pure purple, but there you can see shade comparisons for reference. Now let's look at the reds quickly. Here is Bloodline from Anastasia, which is described as a crimson red. It is not really a true blue-based red. American Doll is that blue-based red that I didn't pick up because I just felt like Bloodline was better for me. And I've compared it next to the signature Ruby Roo from MAC, which is that rich blue tone red. It's matte, it's gorgeous, and when it's done right, Ruby Roo is everything. And then another famous red from MAC is Russian Red, which is another rich red. It's more of a deep crimson red as well. Comes a little bit close to Bloodline, but I think Bloodline is a brighter, richer red. It's more of an intense, eye-catching red versus the other two. So in all my swatching excitement, I forgot to swatch Bloodline from Anastasia next to Kat Von D's Outlaw Liquid Lipstick. And you can see them swatched here now on the back of my hand. This shade here is Outlaw from Kat Von D, and this shade here is Bloodline from Anastasia, and I think these are both beautiful reds. They look pretty much identical, with Bloodline being a little bit more blue-based red, a little richer in color than Bloodline from Anastasia. So with the formula, I would say go for the Kat Von D version, but they are very similar colors in case you were interested. And then I also said, let me try out Electric Coral next to Muse from Hourglass. This is one of their Extreme Sheen lipsticks. And as you can see, these colors are also very similar in color. This one with a more glossier sheen, of course, and less pigmentation. It's more of a sheer color, a gloss, of course. But the colors are very similar, but I think Electric Coral is a prettier shade if you're into a matte finish, and this one, you can go for this one if you're into a glossier finish. And now let's wrap up with the deeper, darker shades. First up is Potion. That's that rich, dark, really vampy purple shade. I actually really like that shade. It's a gorgeous shade, and I thought that Gunner might be close to it from MAC, but that is such a blue-based purple. It's a really pretty purple though, but it's not even close. Then I said, let me swatch Smoked Purple, which is one of MAC's deep matte deep purple shades. And this one, it's dark, but it's not as rich and pigmented. So if you really want Potion and you think it's a rich dark shade that you're interested in, I think that one is an interesting and unique shade. Then I went ahead and swatched the two deep dark reds. I have Kat Von D's Vampira and Heather's from Anastasia. And can you tell which is which? Yeah, I almost mixed them up too. The first one here is the Kat Von D one. That's Vampira. And then the one from Anastasia is Heather's. Those are almost identical shades. They are spot on identical shades. I think though that the shade from Kat Von D is better. It's a richer shade. It holds on better to your lips, it's longer wearing, so I would go with Vampira over Heather's. So there you go with the dark shades. Just for reference, you can see them swatched against other colors. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some lip pencils that may be suitable for these shades. And I'm going to use MAC lip pencils for reference just because I feel like MAC lip pencils are a great formula to go with matte lipsticks because they are a very dry matte texture and finish. So they'll pair well with the matte finish of these lipsticks. So I'm going to start out with Party Pink, which is that bright neon pink shade. And MAC recently debuted some new lip pencils to their lineup, so you might be lucky and grab Candy Yum Yum lip liner from MAC. That is the perfect pink shade to go with that lip color. And right below it is a deeper, more magenta pink. That is Talking Points, also one of the new colors. And I think those two will go great with that lip pencil, with Candy Yum Yum being a perfect match, and you can use Talking Points to kind of deepen it up. Then we have the shade Spicy, which is this orangey shade. And for orange colors, it's tricky to find shades that go well with it. At the top I have Ablaze, which is from MAC. It's one of their older lip pencils. If you have it, use it. If you don't, grab the Bang lip pencil from Urban Decay, which is that orangey shade. I find Bang goes best with orangey colors in my lineup. There aren't too many true orange lip pencils on the market, so Bang would be your best option. For vintage lip color, this purpley shade here, you have Magenta lip pencil, which is a brighter purple shade, and Heroin, which is a deeper shade. They both go very well with the lip pencil. They're lighter, but they'll still give a nice barrier for that color. And if you wanted to, you could use one of these shades here. Night Moth would go well with this color as well. So you can definitely deepen it up with like Night Moth, Cyber World, these shades on the deeper side that we'll get into. And then we also have right here Nightingale, which is from the new lip pencil lineup from MAC again. This is more of a berry shade that I think would go really well with that purple. For the brown shade, which is my favorite here, this is Vamp. I think this shade here, Chestnut, would go perfect. I've worn it with it. It looks really great. And this shade here is Cork, in case you just wanted a natural lip to go with that. I think that would go well, but Chestnut is my go-to. It's so pretty with that color. Next up we have the deeper shades. This is Heather's, which is that deep red shade, and this is Potion, the deep purple shade. And first up we have Current, which is a deep wine red shade, with Vino, which are very similar shades here, but these go well with that color because of their deep red cranberry undertone. And then this shade here in the middle, this is Night Moth, which actually goes well with any of these shades here. These two shades here I think go well, and it also goes well with Vintage. But I think the best shade for Current would be for Potion would be Cyber World, which is one of the newer shades again from MAC. This one has a lot of purple to it. As you can see, there's nice purple undertones, so it goes well with Potion. It works really nicely, and it also works very nicely with Vintage. These more berry undertone wine shades go well with Heather's. So those are some options you can look at to go with these lip pencils, just showing you the shade lineup that I have in my collection that I think pair well with these lipsticks. So we have made it through this video, and we did swatches, lip swatches. Also on my arm we did comparison swatches to show you these shades matched up against other similar shades in my collection, shades that you might be familiar with. And I also gave you lip pencil options for these in case you were interested in trying them out. While I don't think the formula is stellar, they're not the best thing to hit the market. They are still decent lip products, and I do think a couple of the shades are worth checking out. I wouldn't go and buy a lot of these at all because the formula is definitely not long wearing if that's what you're into or that's what you're looking for. So I wouldn't go out and get all of them, but they are still worth trying out, at least one or two of the shades. My suggestions again would be Potion, which is a great unique deep purple shade. I love Vamp for that nice nude brown 90s lip, which I adore. And even Spicy, which is an orangey lip, but it's more muted orange. So if you're afraid of bright orange, this is definitely a go. Be careful with applying these, layering it, all that good stuff. I think they're still worth trying out, 1 or 2 shades. I wouldn't go and grab everything. And definitely I would still say stay away from the lighter shades. They don't apply really well. They don't wear really well. They settle into lines. And if you do insist on getting a lighter shade, get Lovely if you're deeper skin tone. Pure Hollywood and Milkshade are just a little bit too light. This one is a nice pinky shade that you can work with and make work on your lips if you really wanted to go for a lighter color. I still don't recommend the lighter colors just because of how they settle into lines and how they look on the lips. But overall, I give it a B-. I wouldn't give it an A or even a B+. I think it's a decent range. I think it's nice enough, but I don't think it's the best thing out there on the market. But, you know, who am I? So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully I gave you enough information that you can go out into the world of makeup and make your own decisions. Choose to test these out or not, it's up to you. But I gave you all the information I had available in my arsenal, and hopefully you guys appreciated it. Down in the description box, I'll leave links to everything, you know, if you want to pick up the products. Also, I'll try to get the date for when they'll be at Macy's stores in case you wanted to go check those out. I would rather check these out than the indie brands just because of a better return policy in case you don't like them. And as usual, links to my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook page will be down below. If you have any other questions, definitely leave them below as well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!